Welcome to WROL. Everybody, as always, we have the one, the only Hawkeye.
Hello, everybody.
And we have Digidax.
What's up?
And Boomstam.
Hello, hello.
And here I'm Burger. And so first I want to say, thanks guys for staying patient. I know it's been a few weeks since our last recordings. Actually, the person that hosts and drops our podcast out there, he's sitting on a couple of other ones, so you might have a few of these dropping at the same time. So we apologize for the delay, but hopefully you guys are digging everything that we're talking about and find some of the banter and feedback and a little bit of the analysis of everything that we're reading in the comics useful. So with that, we have a new segment that we want to kind of talk about this week. And so what we'll do is I'm going to kick it off to Digidax first, and he's going to walk through a cool conversation that he and Boomstam had recently.
So I'm talking to Boomstam about comics, surprisingly enough. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, man, who's your, top 5 favorite characters? And he's, about to line me up everybody in the super family. I'm like, whoa, hold on, buddy. I want your top 5 characters or heroes, non-super family, all the way down to Still, Keenan, Super hyphen man, all of them off the table. Give me your top 5.
Yeah, so he probably, more than likely knowing him, he started hitting things like Lois Lane, Steve Lombard, Perry White, all them first.
Right? Oh yeah, his Jimmy Olsen. Oh, buddy, no, that doesn't count.
I think he said Steel.
Ineligible here.
Did you let him have Steel, or did you not let him have Steel?
Oh no, Steel. No one in that super family. Any related characters? All likenesses to the Superman trademark. I kind of went all Sony and Spider-Man there. I made a Marvel reference. Sorry about that.
And so what happened? What happened after Doomstam woke up from fainting?
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, you're crippling me here." It's like I took an arm and a leg away from him. But he, he finally is like, "Okay, I'll give in to your demands, you terrorist."
All right.
So Boom, tell us what's up, Boom. Like, what'd you say?
Well, first I tried to, put them all together and, put the whole Superman family as one number on the list, but that wasn't allowed either.
I forgot that weasel. He was like, well, how about I have the super family as number 1? I'm like, no, buddy.
No, it had to be absolutely outside of the super family, which, if you know me, that's exactly like crippling me. So it took a long time to, make the list. And I even split the list in heroes and villains. I'll just give you the heroes for now. Well, my top 5, Wonder Woman, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. I actually cheated a little bit because I said both Hawkman and Hawkgirl, Nightwing, and The Flash.
And Flash is number 1 or Flash is number 5?
He's number 5.
And which Flash is that?
It's Barry.
Okay, yeah, you got to be specific, buddy. You already cheated with the Hawkman and Hawkgirl answer.
Sorry.
I think it's a fair thing to put both of them together. All their best stories are told together, so.
Exactly.
I don't know. Her romance with John lately was a pretty good modern retelling of Romeo and Juliet, I think.
It was. It definitely was. There's definitely a generation of kids out there who think that John Stewart and Hawkgirl.
I think he means Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, John Jones.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about that one. Okay, I thought you were talking about in Justice League, the cartoon.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Man, look at that.
John Stewart, Green Lantern, yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that one. Man, she's really getting around.
Little bit. I apologize, Boom. Did you say Barry or Wally for the Flash?
No, I said Barry.
So you like Hal and Barry over the excellent characters that are Kyle and Wally? Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
Sorry.
Are you really Dan Vito? Are you him in disguise?
No, I'm not.
Well, you did put Nightwing on your list, so you're definitely not him in disguise. You would have tried to kill him off, not put him on top 5 list.
I'm a weird guy. Sorry. I just, there's something about Hal that.
Oh, yeah. Dan hated some Wally, didn't he?
He hated Wally, hated Nightwing. Really just anybody that wasn't from the original Big 7 Justice League. He was not a fan of. Wonder Woman is your number 1 outside of Superman. That's a...
I was shocked by that, I guess. I mean, I was thinking...
She has some great stories.
But you prefer the newbie of Wonder Woman, right? Not the...
No,
not Diana.
Yes, sorry.
So what is your favorite Wonder Woman story?
That's a tough one.
I know asking you to name a favorite of anything is a tough one because you always want to go 5-6 deep.
Yeah, no, I think one of my favorites is actually, again, I'm going to cheat. 2 books. They're called, the one is called Truth and the other one was called, they came back to back. So let me look it up.
I figured you were going to try to throw in someone where she was with Superman or something.
No. If there's something I really don't like is the pairing of Wonder Woman and Superman. I prefer Lois.
I actually like that in New 52. I actually really like that in 52.
You just stabbed boom right in the heart with that one.
Yeah, no. The only thing that I liked about New 52 Wonder Woman was the story with her own book with the gods, with her brother. What's he called again? The Firstborn. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that was a good story. That was good.
So we'll get back to that, Boom. If you find that, let's definitely suggest that.
I think he said it. Wonder Woman 1984 was his favorite.
Hey, Pedro Pascal, come on. It's hard to pass up.
The Mandalorian Maxwell Lord.
But we got plenty to go over here, so let's move on to the next thing, which is very, very exciting stuff. We have a new Superman, guys. How do you guys feel about our Superman and Lois for Superman Legacy?
David Corsenwet, or I doubt that's probably how you pronounce that, and Rachel Brosnan.
I think that's about as close to pronouncing it as Jim Lee is to being a regular listener of the podcast, did you?
I would put money on that. Yeah. That Jim Lee is listening.
He's one of the dozens and dozens.
David Cornsweat, he's a little bit of a, not a complete unknown, but he's definitely not had a huge starring role yet. So this is definitely going to be the biggest role of his career thus far. He does look an awful lot like Henry Cavill.
I can definitely see him being Superman for sure.
Yeah.
You can look at him and see. Yes, I can see that. Him playing the role. So it'll be interesting to see what version of Superman and how this role kind of looks. But you can see him, at least physically. You can see that he can do that. That he can pull it off.
One of the things I really liked is he is 6'4". So he is going to tower over a lot of the other actors they bring in for other roles.
Well, but Cavill wasn't that small, was he?
No. Cavill's still
like 6'3".
That's one thing that I like, that they're definitely continuing with the casting of Superman. He's supposed to be kind of almost a mythical figure, larger than life. So having him be played by a taller actor is definitely a huge deal.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to basically pull like an all-star Superman and hunch over a lot.
Yeah, it's going to definitely be a interesting dynamic, because that's one thing I believe that I've seen is James Gunn definitely said that there's going to be a lot of Daily Planet stuff in this. He's going to kind of go back to his roots and not just focus on Superman, but tell the Clark Kent part of the story, which I feel like was a bit overshadowed with Snyder movies at times.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And so I guess the biggest fan service person would be Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner as a choice.
Well, hold up a second. We talked a lot about Superman here, but Lois is going to be a essential part of the movie as well. And Rachel Brosnahan is I personally have not seen The Marvelous Miss Maisel, but I've never heard anybody say, "Man, that show's terrible." It's gotten all kind of Emmy wins. So
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
she's
think
great.
I also heard that weren't both of them on the House of Cards, like
Yeah.
Clark and the Lois?
Yep, they were. I mean, I've seen House of Cards. It's been a while, so I don't really recall either of them on the show. So I don't know. I don't really know who they played or anything. So it doesn't really ring a bell. But yeah, they both played on House of Cards.
Yeah, so that could be part of the multiverse then, right?
I doubt they bring Kevin Spacey in again.
We still need a Lex. We still need a Lex.
Had a few troubles. So,
but I do like that Lois casting a lot. I've seen I haven't seen all of the Miss Maisel shows or episodes, but seen quite a few of them, and she does a really good job. And it'll be interesting to see. I think she could play it really well. You know, you can see she has the ability to make people laugh, has the ability to be serious. I think she's going to do really well in that role.
All right. So going back to what Digi said, we do have a bit of a fan casting here. A very popular actor in the comic book nerd culture, and that's Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner. Out of all of the casting choices, this is probably the one that's raised the most eyebrows, I feel like.
Yep. If any Green Lantern if he was expected to play any Green Lantern, it would have been Hal Jordan, and not. It's definitely not Guy Gardner.
He's probably about 10 years older for Guy Gardner.
I know.
And on top of that, they have to start the show. And they want probably a younger Hal and Jon Stewart. So that's probably why they went with Guy here.
Probably, yeah.
Well, one of the things...
So he's going to be the wise one then.
That's not any way that anybody's ever described Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner, the wise one, not the crazy one like DCL has him labeled, huh?
I know whenever we were talking about it the other day, and obviously there's no way it'll happen now, but I forgot the guy's name, but the guy actually is in Star Wars Jedi, like Fallen Order.
Cameron Monaghan.
He played the Joker.
Played the Joker, or a version of the Joker at least in Gotham. But I would have thought that would have been a pretty good choice. But it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, Nathan Fillion has a ton of comic book stuff to his credits, right? And so it'll be interesting to see his version of Guy Gardner for sure.
And he has voiced Hal Jordan in the animated movie.
He has, yes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I mean, if we want to, cast him by his age, I mean, he probably would be a pretty good Alan Scott at this point. I think he might have even aged out of Hal Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think that he has the personality traits of Guy. I think he's played that role several times throughout his career. So I definitely think that he has the chops to play Guy Gardner. I just don't know how he fits as far as fitting in the role. One thing I would point out about Green Lanterns is it's going to be a lot of CGI. It's not going to be a lot of stunt work. So I don't know that age is the be-all, end-all as far as Green Lantern casting goes. Moving on, we have Dora the Explorer playing Hawk Girl.
Yeah.
Isabel Marquette, I believe is how you say your last name. Probably not. Definitely butchered it, I'm sure.
All I hope is she has to have a backpack in some part of the movie and a map to Thanagar, maybe.
Oh, gosh, did you? you know how to make an awkward silence in any podcast, man.
And
it's really a gift.
Will be edited out. This awkward silence gone.
Okay, he's gonna supplement. He's gonna input our right there, like all of us laughing hysterically.
Yeah, that's all you get is laughing hysterically at the map joke. I'm the map, and then you'll hear laughter.
I think that she definitely fits the role. I haven't seen her in much of anything, to be perfectly honest, but I think that she has the look for the part. That's one thing I'm interested in, the characters that they're choosing to include in this movie. It's kind of a hodgepodge, and I'm really kind of wondering what James Gunn has up his sleeves with all of these castings and what their actual role is going to be in the movie.
Yeah, I just wanted to, it's supposed to be a Superman movie, but we do get a lot of side casting, if you will, a lot of non-main Justice League characters, like Guy, like Hawker, like Mr. Terrific. I mean, they're not really in Superman's core circle, if you will. Sure, he works with them, but it's not like he works with them on a day-to-day basis or anything. So I'm just kind of wondering where this movie is going. Is it going to be like a Superman movie, or is it going to be more like a build up to a Justice League, Justice Society sort of movie?
Yeah, well, I mean, you see in the comics now, right? Like with Hawkgirl, she's in Metropolis now, so I'm sure there could be a little bit of bleed over with some of that if that's the kind of the direction they're going with her.
Yeah, mostly. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and I'm just mostly curious about it. See how it all works out.
I mean, I could very well see what James Gunn's doing with this being something where all four of these guys are fighting somebody in Metropolis, and then Superman kind of swoops in when everything seems lost and just saves the day. And it's just they're there in this particular movie to establish themselves, but also to establish that Superman is the superhero of all superheroes.
Yeah.
So
maybe
I could see it very easily being almost cameo-ish, maybe extended cameos for like a fight scene, something like that. This next gentleman, I'm definitely going to butcher his name. Edie Gathegi is playing Mr. Terrific. The only thing I have seen him in personally was X-Men First Class, where he got done probably... Yeah, he got done about as dirty as you can get done in a comic book movie. He played a guy whose one superpower is to be able to adapt and evolve in any way to survive. And they killed him off in the very first appearance that he was in because he couldn't adapt.
He was also in Twilight. Yeah, I've seen it. I admit it. He was
there's another moment.
He was the other vampire crew.
Input hysterical laughter here.
And insert laugh here.
We're gonna have to have like a Digi awkward pause calendar counter for the episode. We're already up to 2 and we're only like 20 minutes in, so we're setting a new personal best here, and we still have a segment going out to Digi here in a little bit that I'm sure is gonna have plenty of awkward pauses in it.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, Mr. Terrific, he's been having more and more of a supporting role in the DC universe as a whole in the comics. And, that's another thing I could see. Maybe Superman gets some kryptonite poisoning and he goes Terrific Tech to get looked up and checked up on by Mr. Terrific, perhaps. So, there's definitely areas where they could bring these characters in and not have them overshadowed.
And Metamorpho is in the Terrifics, too. I just thought about that. Maybe... Yeah, they kind of set their little foursome up.
Yeah, it could be could be setting groundwork for a Terrifics movie somewhere in the beginning here,
or TV show.
But speaking of Metamorpho, this was probably my most excited I was for any of the casting. Anthony Carrigan is going to be playing Metamorpho. He is a fantastic actor. He's able to switch up from being unbelievably frightening to unbelievably comedic, just kind of at the snap of a finger. A lot of folks will know him from Gotham. Did he play Zaz in Gotham?
Yeah, Victor Zaz.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Victor Zaz is probably one of the most terrifying characters in the DC universe, especially when you consider the fact that he's just a street level guy. But he is absolutely mortifying to look into and delve into in the comics. But I know him personally from the television show Barry, where he plays a character named NoHo Hank, who is a gay mobster in the show, and he falls in love with the Colombian drug lord that he's supposed to be a rival with in the show, and it's just a wonderful character. Just always has you laughing every time he comes on the scene. You're just like, yes. So I am absolutely loving the fact that Anthony Carrigan's going to be in this new DC universe, and I really hope that they have a plan for him and the rest of these characters that are being cast for Superman Legacy. Did any of you guys have any final thoughts on any of the casting that we've seen so far for Superman Legacy, or just any thoughts in general for what's going on with that movie?
Like I said earlier, just really anxious to see it, curious what they will do. Still hoping for a Lex, to be honest.
I think if anything, Lex is almost surely going to be cast. There's been heavy hints that Nicholas Hoult may be being eyed for the Lex Luthor role. There hadn't been any official casting. He was considered.
He's the guy that played Beast, right? In the younger version of. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he's a terrific actor.
He is, yeah.
Has been in a lot of stuff. So I think he would take Lex Luthor and knock it out of the park. Personally, he was always my choice to play the Joker. I thought that he would play a perfect Joker. But overall, there's a lot to be excited for. I know that The Flash bombed at the box office in historic fashion. And then Blue Beetle's not tracking much better. But with its smaller budget, I think it should do fine still. But like I said many times before on the show, just until Superman Legacy comes out, everything's just noise. Let's see what Superman Legacy does and start judging the new DC universe from there.
Yeah, I mean, like, what they really need is they need, like, somebody to come in and, like, be, like, a massive, like, tentpole. I mean, you think about, like, Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man,
yep.
And, like, how, like, he just personified that role and, I mean, like, really kind of kicked off all of this stuff, right? And, like, made it to where, people who probably never really read comic books at all before were, like, clamoring and keeping up with, what was happening next. And so, I don't know if one thing that I will say is before we close this part out is I don't know if there's really anybody that like I look at yet with these and say we have like that tent pole, but obviously, it's still early and it'll be interesting to kind of see what happens. I mean, I don't know if everybody before Iron Man would have thought that either. Right. So Hopefully somebody can do this and really come in and run with it. Cause it's hard if you're kind of kicking off most of this with Blue Beetle. Right. Like you kind of want like who your tent pole is going to be to come in and do that. But
all our money on Blue Beetle, boy.
Now you're making Digi cry.
Well, I think it's more so they're putting their money on Superman, guys. And as Berger and Boomstam will always tell you, Superman always comes through for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing I wanted to jump into here is another fun little bit. And this is going to be a Digidax original. We're going to do the Digidax top 5 Marvel heroes he hates the least.
Oh, the ones. Wow. It's like kind of like picking your favorite STD or something. So I'm going to have to say, number one, it's got to be Galactus, right? Because his main sole purpose is to destroy the Marvel universe, right? Or like eat it and crap it out. So I got to go Galactus, number one. Let's see. Dr. Doom, number 2, because I mean, he hates a lot of Marvel heroes, right? I'm going to go Daredevil because Ben Affleck was in the movie for Daredevil.
And he listens to the podcast, so it makes sense you want to.
And he listens. I've got to, pander to our audience. We have Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. I mean, it's crazy. Okay. I'm going to say Nightcrawler and Iceman around.
You got to go with 2 X-Men for Jim Lee's sake. I got you.
Yeah, for Jim Lee. Yeah, I'm like, hey, buddy, remember when you used to draw these? Aren't you glad you're not there anymore? Well,
so we have Galactus because he wants to destroy the Marvel universe. Dr. Doom because he hates a bunch of superheroes. Daredevil because Ben Affleck played him, and then Nightcrawler and Iceman because shout out Jim Lee. That is a
very
well thought of. I got to say.
I think that you missed.
My intentions were pure with that.
I do think that you probably missed Thanos on this list.
Oh man, he snapped out half of them.
Yeah,
man, I missed that one. That was
that one seemed ripe for the taking.
Oh man, that's just like a softball pitch that I just whiffed at. Right.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, especially after you had
the. Good news is you're the one that edits this, so. Edit away.
I'm like, oh hey, and Thanos because it's
all right. So that was one of our fun little top 5s we're gonna do today.
Top 5.
So the next thing we had, and this will probably be the final time before we talk about this before the movie officially drops, but there's a new Blue Beetle trailer, guys, and
Hey, fake applause! Yay!
Fake applause. Come on, man.
No, I'm excited for it, but I'm adding the.
I was like, you went and saw Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny on opening night, and you're giving me fake applause for Blue Beetle?
Yeah. And the most positive thing I could say was I like the cup hat that I got.
Have you been wearing it around the house?
Oh, yeah, I should. I'll have to take a picture of that. Me with the tiny Indiana Jones hat from the cup I got from the movie.
So Blue Beetle, I can't help but feel like the movie still looks like a lot of fun. I think that it's kind of a back to basics superhero movie that we haven't had in quite some time. It doesn't look like it's really trying to set up a universe. It doesn't look like it's trying to set up 50,000 characters. It's trying to set up Blue Beetle and his supporting cast.
It looks comic accurate.
It's comic accurate. It's got some cool effects in it. Just the scarab itself. There's several awesome looking scenes in the movie. He uses a giant sword.
We get to see Ted Kord's bug. The
Digi's highlight of the movie.
Yeah, that's my highlight of the
and I mean, the thing about Blue Beetle for me is it seems like it should be just such a slam dunk on paper. You have the suit, which is a very Iron Man-esque suit. You have the teenage superhero, very Spider-Man-esque, and you're just mashing them together in one character. It just seems like it should be a home run every time.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, trailer, I guess, looks interesting in some ways, but yeah, we'll see. It definitely planning on trying to check that out. Whenever it gets to the theaters.
And not just buy the tickets for it this time, right?
Yep, exactly right. Yep. Hey, I did my part at least. So DC, at least I bought it. So there you go. Hawkeye, I have a question for you. So we're talking about movies, current things that are kind of going on the DCU. And we did not have this in the notes. So I'm totally catching you off guard right now.
Fantastic.
Digi, insert big laughter here. And then, so top characters, and let's go with top DC characters that have not been in a DCU film yet and are not cast in a DC film that's upcoming yet. So top 5 comic characters you would like to see.
All right. So you're taking so many off the table between the casting and already been in movies. Well, I will say, and this is kind of a group pick. It's not one particular character. But the New Gods, specifically of New Genesis. We haven't seen Orin. We haven't seen Barda. We haven't seen Mr. Miracle. Those are characters I would love to see on the big screen.
We have seen the female Furies in Smallville, though.
Nobody counts Smallville, Boomstam.
I'm just saying.
That Ava Dunbury, she was supposed to direct that, and they ended up canceling that. God's movie, I believe.
I mean, DC Comics and canceling movies that they announced. Name a better combo, Let's see. Hawkman's already been in a movie. Terrific's cast. I feel like this is one I would love to see adapted into live action. Is the Court of Owls. It's not a hero, but a concept from the comics, a villain team organization. I just feel like it would be the perfect Batman movie. I think that you can just see the trailers where the Court of Owls nursery rhymes read over the trailers as Batman's wandering through the maze that they had in the original Court of Owls run. I just think that would be a great psychological, tense Batman film that they could do.
See? Oh, yeah, that would definitely, it would give the backstory to Dick Grayson, his grandfather being in it. So that would be another way to introduce Dick Grayson into the I guess the new Batman.
The Court of Owls is actually in the TV show Gotham Knights, which
again, nobody counts Gotham Knights. Boom. You keep just naming these things that everybody just likes to pretend they didn't exist.
Now, wait a second. This happened in that Birds of Prey TV show that lasted one season.
Well, I'm just saying, I know that the TV show isn't that great, but they did handle the Court of Owls very well.
It was better than Birds of Prey, I'll tell you that.
That's true.
Are you talking about the movie or the TV show?
Both.
I'm going to cheat again, and I'm mostly going to the villain wells here, but I think that a good Clayface movie would be a lot of fun to see done by for a DC movie.
Good one.
I just think that he has a very cinematic power, being able to disguise himself, turn into a giant monster. Just a lot of options to do a really, really good Batman movie that kind of leans into more of the fantastic elements of Batman and not just the grounded elements.
So Matt Damon as Matt Hagen is what you're saying?
Hey, I think that if the shoe fits, wear it, you know? And then the last one is a Green Lantern Kyle Rayner in live action. I know that's a little cheating because we've had Green Lanterns before, but Ryan Reynolds killed Hal Jordan on a screen in front of all of us, so I think that the next best thing would be a Kyle Rayner movie.
You mean the Parallax Poop Cloud wasn't a great villain in that movie?
Hey, you had Galactus #1 on your list. I don't want to hear about poop.
Oh,
clouds.
yeah, that's right. That Galactus poop monster that was in that Fantastic Four.
So, yeah, that would be my top 5. We had the New Gods, we had the Court of Owls, we had Clayface, just named Kyle Rayner, and help me out here, guys. What was my third one there?
You had Clayface, Court of Owls, Rayner.
You didn't say Adam Strange.
I was waiting for that too. I was absolutely waiting for Adam Strange.
I just don't know that he carries a whole movie by himself. I would love to see him, absolutely. I do think, like me personally, I would be the first one in line for an Adam Strange movie. But you know, we can't even get crowds to be excited about The Flash. I'm not going to be the guy that pitches an Adam Strange movie right now. You got to know the climate, guys.
Well, so and I did this that way. Whenever James Gunn obviously listens to our episode, he's probably going to find you out to give you a job of helping him plan the new DCU. So you're welcome.
I'm just waiting on the call. I'm just waiting on James Gunn's call. All right, guys, we've had some fun with some questions here. We've talked about the movies, but there is one reason why we do this show, and that is to talk about comic books. We've missed 3 weeks, guys, and for the long and short of it, we just cannot go over every single book that we missed. As fun as it would be to record a 10-hour episode with you guys, we all have lives. We have families that would like to see us, and just shouting at them, "No, get out! We're recording our comic book podcast. We're on hour 7 of 10." Just wouldn't fly with the families. So, I boiled it down to this month. There are 3 books in one event that we have to talk about. The first one on our list is a new one from the Donna DC books, and that is Hot Girl #1. Me personally, I'm a big Hawkman fan, big Hot Girl fan. Just love the Thanagar mythology. This one kind of missed. There was a lot of weird stuff in this book that I didn't particularly care for. I thought could have been done better. There was a really weird scene where Hot Girl is sitting in her own apartment wearing her Hot Girl mask, and I'm just going to myself, why is she wearing that in her own apartment? Who is she trying to hide her identity from? This makes no sense.
The Shadow Thief could have been there.
Well, she was kind of talking to herself, and she acknowledged that she was talking to herself, right? And she's like, remember when I was Hot Girl and I would wear the mask, then I didn't, then I wore it again. And then she's like, why am I talking to myself right now? So I think it was like one of those things with her trying to I think it happens a lot of times when you get out of a breakup, right? Like we don't always all move to a new city, but a lot of times people do. They want to have different, surround themselves with different scenery. You kind of go through that whole identity thing, like who am I? What have I done in the past? So I kind of see why that happens, because she and John Johns, in an alternate path of reality, right, had a baby, and then ended up having their own little turmoil, broke up. So she's out there trying to figure out, like, hey, who am I, right? And not just being associated with the guys around me, like that's kind of making my identity and who I am, but who am I? What do I want to do? And so I actually kind of liked it because it kind of told a little different story of what we've kind of seen from her in the past. I liked the other new hero. What was her name? Galaxy Girl.
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys knew her or not.
I did not, but it explained her again in there as well, right? Like it explained, Batman saying that he believes she did save the world or the galaxy or whatever, and but it was just such a terrible thing that happened that we all repressed it from our minds.
Yeah.
So we'll be interesting to see kind of what pops up from that. But personally, like I kind of liked it. I thought it was interesting. And I don't know if I totally agreed with it, but I thought it was interesting that she took the shot to the back and surprisingly trying to protect a Kryptonian from getting shot in the back with fire. And then it made her wings not work. And then, they had the revelation that these rings are just manifesting themselves as nth metal, but they're actually energy. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of what they do with all this and how Galaxy Girl plays into it. I liked the new, at least she was new to me, baddie that's going to be in there. And how they kind of tied all that story together in these, three individuals. And so I kind of like the direction that it's going. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it so far. But Boom, what about you?
Well, I like the way it started with the what you said, the new villain, or the lady villain, where she corrupted this little girl by giving her a pony. And then years later, using her to, extract energy or something from her to the way she manipulated that woman. And I thought it was kind of cool. And I like the analogy with the story about the fox. She was talking about herself in the way of the story of the fox. I kind of like that. And I didn't really get the connection between this Galaxy Girl. I mean, I knew of her. I mean, she was in a teen graphic novel they released a while back. I never read it, but I know of her. But it's fun to learn about her now in this new book. So yeah, I'm mostly just wondering where this is going to go. If we're ever going to see like a cameo from Hawkman and the new Hawk woman, if they're going to show up in this book. So, I'm going to keep reading it.
One thing I did absolutely love was Hawkgirl asking for information on Galaxy and Batman saying, "No, I don't have much on her," and then just telling her everything down to like her blood type, basically.
That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
Just Hawkgirl's like, that's not a lot. And the reason why Galaxy is popping up in this is because the writer was the original creator of Galaxy. She wrote the teenage graphic novel. So this is kind of a story using Hawkgirl to also kind of cross-promote her character she created, which is another thing I didn't particularly like. It's sold as a Hawkgirl book, but it almost feels like a Hawkgirl Galaxy book. Felt like they were on Galaxy was on just, probably 6 pages out of the 24 pages, so she was in a third of the book, or a quarter of the book. Sorry, my math's not very good today. So, they're
trying to give her a friend, unlike Cyborg. That's what they're trying to do. Make sure she doesn't end up like Cyborg and have zero friends.
But overall, I'm excited to see Hawk Girl in another book. I'm happy to see anytime the Hawks get their own ongoing. So I'll definitely be reading. It's a 1 of 6, so that's one thing DC's been moving towards is trying to do more mini series, and then if it sells well, they expand on it. Our next book on our list here was World's Finest Teen Titans. Digi, do you want to kind of go over that book for us? I know you were talking about how it reminded you of a certain DC cartoon in the past.
Oh yeah, it seemed like it was kind of setting up like Young Justice, except for they're not about to make it into the league. They introduce all the characters with little funny things by their name. Under Kid Flash, it said, "Why not Speedy?" So it gives you, their roster that they have. They have Kid Flash, Donna and Garth in a relationship, and they show Roy and Wally are kind of wanting attention. So they're live streaming stuff, and Robin's starting to be a stickler, and there comes a little tension between, I guess, him and Roy, where Roy's wondering if that's not Batman talking for Dick Grayson, all the choices he's making, kind of being a stickler to the team. But all in all, yeah, it felt like what you would have for an opening of a animated series. You introduce all the characters, you have them interacting with their mentors. I thought it was a very good start to an issue, of a series.
I was kind of, who do you guys think, at the very end, the person saying, I'm building a new, better Teen Titans? Who do you think that was? We saw him have lightning powers, right? Or at least the person that he did not choose got hit by some sort of what looked like a lightning blast. But who are your guys' thoughts on who the bad guy is?
I have no idea. I like the auditioning part of it, and then using the lightning to fry them. Thought that was kind of horrifying, but still cool.
So right now we just think it's Simon Cowell, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be. And his new face. He had too much Botox or something last time I saw.
But yeah, I liked the episode. I liked the not episode. I always say that. I liked the comic. And yeah, I think it's interesting. We get to see, potentially a new bad guy, a new team they're building to go against them, and kind of see how all this unfolds.
They're fighting the Separated Man, villain, and Speedy. Roy gets one shot, and he's flexing for the camera, and Robin's getting irritated. He goes, "I'm never miss," and he actually says, "Be thankful it wasn't a suppository," to the injection that he aimed and got to his mouth.
We're all thankful for that.
Definitely would have got a different rating on the front of the cover. The next book on our list was a little divisive. One of the members of our council here really enjoyed it, and then other people not so hot on it.
Can I tell my version of the story of what happened first?
Go right.
I just got to get this out. So it's what was it? Was it Thursday? I believe Thursday. I'm sitting at work, just trying to go out there and make a difference, and I get a message. We all do. That the last days of Lex Luthor is probably one of the best comics ever. It's amazing, and we have to literally drop everything we're doing. So naturally, I quit my job, came home, told my wife, "Not now, boss. I'm in the zone." Slammed the door, locked it, and then sat inside of a dark room with nothing. Even though I had to go to the bathroom, drink, nothing to do that. I'm just gonna sit here and read this book because Boom told me how amazing it was. And so maybe part of my thoughts on why I wasn't that excited about it is based off Boom's setup of it. But I think also part of like why one, I think the whole premise of how Lex got sick and all this stuff, I'm like, I guess I can kind of see it. How he had to get Superman's attention to help. It was like I guess I can kind of see that. But like whenever you see like in the, because this is Black Label, right? But when you see in the main storyline, Lex actually getting attacked by like one of the new big bads from Superman, right? And, actually getting left to die. And you see that, like, to me, that way that he was, kind of on his deathbed was way more powerful than what we saw in this comic. And so, if everybody at work is listening now, I apologize for quitting the other day. I'll be back on Monday. Now you guys know why I did it, but with that, let's hear the opposite side. Boom! Like, what are your thoughts?
I absolutely loved it. I mean, I get what you're saying about the mainstream comic book and that being a little bit more impactful, but I just saw it as a standalone story, not connected to the mainstream thing that's going on with Action Comics and Superman right now. And I just really, really like the connection that they had from their youth. It's hinting on Lex and Clark, and Lex being in some sort of accident and it being Clark's fault somehow. I thought that was really cool. You mentioned that the way he tried to get Superman's attention because of his illness. So basically, for people that don't know, the story is about Lex being sick with kryptonite poisoning, and not just kryptonite poisoning, but some other mixtures that he had because he was experimenting on kryptonite, and then there was an explosion, and that's what got him sick.
Can I just say one thing real quick about that?
Yeah.
DC really needs to tighten up here, because that's how Barry Allen got his superpowers, and suddenly it's going to kill Lex Luthor. They need to make up their minds.
With Barry, there was no kryptonite involved, so there's that. But it's like you said, it was and there was no lightning. But other than that, it was chemicals and kryptonite, and that's what's killing Lex, and he knows it. And so what does he do? He steals or builds a giant crab-like monster, which he uses to attack a island that's on a fault line or something, and he smashes the island so hard that it's going to go sink into the ocean, which triggers Superman obviously to go for the rescue, and he tunnels under the island, creating like sound echo chambers. That's what the word I was looking for, to cancel out the shockwave that Lex created, and then he busts open the robot, and he finds Lex Luthor in the robot, and he's not really surprised by it, and then the whole story gets unfolded by Lex, that he's sick and that he had to get the attention of Superman. And it just made me think that it was such a classic way of Lex to him being like a megalomaniac. That's the only way he could think of to get the attention of Superman, instead of just yelling, "Hey, Superman," or "Help, Superman," or whatever. And I thought that was really a really cool way to start the story and get the story going. The other thing that I really liked was that he kind of tricked Superman into helping him, because he says, "You're Superman, you're not going to let me die." And he actually records their whole conversation between himself and Superman, and he broadcasts it live all over the world, so the whole world will know that Superman is going to go and save a super villain like Lex Luthor, and he just you could see the enjoyment on his face when he did that, where he was like, now I have you. Well, then the story continues, and he takes Lex to the Fortress of Solitude, where they go and visit Kandor, and Superman has the Kandorian scientist try to figure out what's wrong with Lex, and they do figure out what's wrong with him, but they just can't cure him. And then after that, Superman is like, okay, we have one more solution to the problem. That well, it's not really a solution, but it's just going to give me time to work on the solution, and that's putting Lex into the Phantom Zone. And so they both go into the Phantom Zone. They get attacked by General Zod, and it turns out that even the villains in the Phantom Zone don't want Lex there, so they push him out, and they basically kick him out of the Phantom Zone, leaving him with his illness again, and Superman not any closer to healing him or saving him. So that's pretty much the end of the story. And like I said, I thought it was just a cool way of the book to show us the Lex that we used to know. That it really shows his character, and I like the connection between having Lex and Clark share a past in Smallville.
I do. I liked seeing like just how mentally strong Lex was when he was in the Phantom Zone, right? Like he was able to, basically come to Superman's aid when Zod and all the other Kryptonians attacked him.
Yeah.
What I don't agree though, and I don't understand, if they are like they pushed him out of the Phantom Zone.
And why can't they escape?
It's not like the Phantom projector, like the Phantom Zone projector was left on, and they said, "Nope, get out of here. We're throwing you out." They did it with I guess it explained it with like their combined rage and mental ability. So when you read it, like you're able to see that, hey, like if you're mentally strong enough that you can interact physically with the objects and things around you. And so in that, all these guys have been training under Zod to be mentally strong enough to where they could attack Superman. And so Lex came to his aid and basically said, look, we're on the same side, Zod, but I need him right now, so you're not going to kill him.
Yeah.
But then for the fact that they are able to push him out, why wouldn't they just push Zod out? If I was Zod, I'd be like, hey, the shit you just did to him, do that to me real quick. Like, push me out, let me go do my thing, and I'll come back for you later. Like, I'm just like, man, like that, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
You've got a point there. And, this is only issue 1, so who knows what happens in issue 2. But, I guess you got a point there.
Zod may like it there. Zod may like it there in that Phantom Zone. He's like, I'm comfy. Why would I leave now?
Got my loafers on. Leave me alone.
All right, guys. We did forget to do one thing as we were going through these first 3 books. We wanted to start assigning grades to the books. At least for the first issues for sure. We may not do it each and every issue, but just an idea of how we feel about the books right now, and whether we're going to keep on reading them or not is definitely part of it. But we also want to assign a number grade between 1 and 5 stars for the books. So real quick, let's just go back through these first 3. Hot Girl number 1, Boom Sam. What would you score that?
Solid 3.
Solid 3 from Boom Stam. All right, Burger. What about you? What do you give Hot Girl number 1?
I actually will give it a 4.
All right, a 4 from Burger, 3 from Boom Stam. Digi, how about a grade for Hot Girl?
I'll split the difference and go 3.5.
3.5
for me.
But we round up to 4, so he agrees with me basically.
Well, I am going to go a very hot guy, probably being overly protective of characters he loves. I am going 2.5. All right. moving on. The world's finest Teen Titans. Boom. Why don't you hit us with your score first again?
4.
4 from Boom. What about you, Mr. Berger?
Actually, I'm going to go 3. So
All
we're
right.
going to invert from last time.
All right, Digidax, what about yourself?
I'm going 4.
Got a 4 from Digi. I am going to go with a 3 as well. I just don't know that it did enough to excite me for the next issue. It's really kind of writing on me going, man, I really love Mark Waid's writing, so I'm definitely picking up number 2, but I don't think that anything that happened in that book is anything we haven't seen before in any number of Teen Titans adaptations in the past, rather in the comics, TV shows, movies, whatever the case might be. All right, the last days of Lex Luthor, Boomstam. I know you're at a 5, right?
Yeah, 5. Yeah, definitely 5.
Burger, I know you're at a 0.
Yeah, I'll do. I'll do.
Oh,
Don't break my heart, Burger. Come on.
I'll do a. I'm not going to go 0. I'm debating between a 1 or a 2. I'll do 2.
Woo! Ooh, that was spicy there, Burger. That was very spicy.
Yeah.
Digi, where are you going to place this book at?
Right. I'll stick this dagger right in his heart. No, I'm just kidding. I'll give it a
-7.
I'm sorry, I missed that. What was that, Digi?
2.5.
2.5. Man.
And no, you can't round that up either.
We're rounding down in that case. 2.49, we're rounding down.
Oh, boy.
I am going to give it a 3.5. I thought it was a solid issue, but it didn't leave me with anything where I'm just like, man, I can't wait to find out what happens next. Unfortunately, there's kind of 2 ways I see this story going. Either 1, Superman saves the day because Superman always saves the day, or number 2, Lex ends up dying, but he teaches Superman a lesson in the process. Those are the 2 ways I see this story going. Maybe they surprise me, maybe they don't. We'll see. Time will tell. But I definitely agree. The one thing I did want to point out too is it's Brian Hitch on art for that book. And Brian Hitch is probably one of my favorite artists of all time. There's just something special anytime he decides to do a book. So for that alone, it's worth the price of admission, in my opinion. All right, guys, we have one more major thing to talk about today. And then I also want to give you guys some time for some quick hits for any of the books that we're cutting out. Just in the interest of what we missed over the last 3 weeks, I want to give you guys a chance to talk about any books that you absolutely loved. But first, we have our final top 5. And this final top 5 is a top 5 for Burger. And Burger, this is in the notes, so I'm not putting you on the spot. Hopefully you've had a little bit of time to think it over. But we need your top 5 Superman villains of all time.
Yeah, so, when I looked at this, I tried to... I know traditionally people are like, oh, Lex is number 1, which I don't totally agree with that. Lex did make my list. When I look at it, actually I have 5th, so not the top villain, but the 5th villain being Zod. Just because, you have somebody, that, has all of Superman's power, probably more fighting base training. And so, I think that, having that, them going against each other, is always going to be, a hard fought battle. And so I picked Zod. I was really kind of torn between who to throw in 3rd or 4th. And so these ones, I kind of look at them similar. I did have, it's Lex and Mr. Mxyzptlk. And, again, I think if you just look at, when I think of it, I'm like, who is the most dangerous, who could actually do the most harm? Obviously you go with Mr. Mxyzptlk, right? But, and you look at how he integrated, Superman after New 52, whenever there was Black Suit Superman back, and the New 52 version died, and, just how he was able to rewrite reality, all the times over the years he's, done different things. I mean, just obviously insanely powerful, right? And then you have Lex, who's probably the one written the most of as like being Superman's, arch nemesis, which I think is part of the reason why I kind of like in the new Superman books, where they're actually kind of coming together and working together and leaning on each other, and all that, and so. But I would say Lex and Mxyzptlk being, kind of third or fourth interchangeably. Second, I have to go with Doomsday. I mean, hell, he's the one that he actually killed Superman. One of my all-time favorite comic series. Loved, obviously, whenever, 10-year-old Berger did not love Superman dying, but he did, the Reign of Superman After, Funeral for a Friend, everything that kind of went into it. But, just having that one being out of everybody that Superman has fought, being that one that was able to actually beat him and kill him. So Doomsday's number two. The number one, I thought about this a little bit when you first asked me, because at first I had Doomsday as number one. But actually another one of my favorite comics and comic storylines was Worlds at War. And we joked about Galactus earlier, right? He goes around and eats planets. But you guys remember who the bad was in Worlds at War?
Imperiex.
Worlds at War. Yeah, Imperiex. And that guy, I mean, look, he's basically, if you took Galactus, shot him up with super soldier serum or whatever, and made him more powerful. I mean, this guy's just wiping out galaxies, right? And so, in that you have, his probes, which are basically mini versions of him, kind of like, Silver Surfer, going out there, the heralds that are going out there, and, they're giving like Superman a run for his money, and he thinks that's who it is. Turns out it's not. But then you have this bad guy that is so powerful, like Superman. You see him teaming up, saving Darkseid. They have Doomsday in there who gets vaporized. He ends up teaming up with Brainiac.
I was going to say he got one-shotted. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you have like all of these it gets to the point where this guy is so bad and such a big bad that Superman's teaming up with his arch villains all over the place. Lex Luthor's in there. He's President Luthor at the time, so he's rallying the world's heroes. I think Wonder Woman got killed, right? It was just so crazy. And honestly, when I was thinking about it, because I haven't really thought about this in a while, because you can't even buy. I was like, I'm going to go back and I want to buy these for Kindle, because that's where I read everything. And so you can't even get them on Kindle. And so I had to go and I started trying to dig through the old comics that I do have, trying to find it. I found one of the books so far, but I want to go back and reread it. But then I started thinking, I think they did have him at one point in the future in the Legion, right, where Imperiex kind of showed back up. But if they brought him back now, that could be an even bigger bad than Anti-Monitor and all that other stuff. But yeah, so I that's who I had as number one.
Wow,
very good list.
Was not expecting an Imperiex appearance ever again in any DC Comics conversation, let alone top five Superman.
I enjoy.
Because I wrote down, after you gave your first three in our document here, I wrote down what I thought was going to be your 1 and 2. I was 50-50. I don't know how you made a top 5 Superman villains, and you didn't include Brainiac. That's a little bit wild to me, Berger. I got to say.
That obviously he is a good one. Yeah.
Because depending on the backstory that you look at, there's been times where Brainiac's been responsible for the destruction of Krypton.
Yeah.
Which that is a big part of Superman's mythology. So to leave him off of a top 5 list, I don't know, man. I don't know.
All he's trying to do is bottle shit up, though. Like, that's it. And I'm not.
We could get that versus Coca-Cola.
Oh gosh. Oh, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I gotta give that to you. Just trying to bottle shit up. But no, I mean, not putting Lex number 1 is also a bold move. I appreciate you not bowing to convention here. So good list, solid list.
Hey, my mom always told me I was special.
There it is.
All right, guys.
Did you have you tested?
It was too expensive back then. So
they just strapped a helmet onto him anyway. So the last big thing we're going to hit here, we're not going to put scores on this yet because it's ongoing. And I don't want to talk about each individual issue because that could take us quite a while because this is a line-wide event. It is Night Terrors. What I want to do here today, guys, is
there's only 27. There's only 27 issues of it.
I just want to talk about the event in broad terms, what overall is happening, and also go into what moments from the tie-ins you guys have really loved. I personally decided to skip the tie-ins for this event, but I know Boom, Sam, and Burger have definitely been reading them. Digi, I don't know about yourself, but feel free to touch on those guys. I am going to bow out of this portion of the conversation and let you guys take over Night Terrors.
So, Digi, you want to kick us off on storyline and your thoughts?
Yeah. So it starts on Dead Man, and he's saying, he's kind of given his backstory that he didn't, perform every night at the circus for cheers or applause. He did it for the gasps. So he would pretend to die at the end of the performance, and the crowd would go wild. He was like, I had to make it more believable each time. I had to buy into it, but I was dead. And then he says that the biggest shock that I ever got that gave me the jolt was when somebody actually did come in and murder him. So that kind of starts it off. And you see Insomnia was actually created by the Lazarus Reign. So he's the big bad of this series. He's the one that's blanketing the earth with his nightmare. And his whole thing is he's trying to get a hold of the Nightmare Stone because it's very powerful. And he knows that John Dee had hid it. So apparently he killed Dr. Destiny to get a hold of the Nightmare Stone, but he never did. So Dead Man possesses him, possesses Batman to, get the information of what this guy, find out what he's, how powerful he is. And he's like, I'm a god. And he's like, no, you're just a dude. So Dead Man does realize that portion of it, that this guy's not a god. At the end of issue 1, he does go and resurrect Wesley Dodds because he can help with it. So he resurrects him, and then he's the neo-noir detective from the Justice Society, and he uses, they both team up together to track Insomnia down. They know that they're basically just looking for clues for the Nightmare Stone.
Yeah. So, I think it's, and I guess obviously we'll end up seeing more of the story as we go. Cause I think with every issue, we're getting a little bit more kind of into what the Nightmare Stone is, right. And everything. But, Dr. Destiny, has been, written a couple different ways, right, over the years. And, he's generally considered a pretty powerful villain. He had the Dream Stone, which allowed him to kind of enter people's dreams, kind of change reality around things. He was able to take on the entire Justice League at different times. He had gotten his first start, kind of as I think it was like a Green Lantern villain, and kind of pretended to be Green Lantern for a little bit. And then, it was eventually stopped. And then, as he became like this, it started to change and ended up getting the Dreamstone from somebody in the dream world. I forgot who it was. I think it was something Lord, like Dream or something. Who was it?
Morpheus.
Yeah, there you go. And so he ended up, basically, becoming more and more powerful. But, with this, I don't think it was actually the real guy, the real John Dee that died. I think it was the dream versions of him. And actually, and the way that I'm reading it so far is that Insomnia isn't really the one, he's bringing some stuff to life, right? And he's like the main one digging through people's dreams. But I think it's actually John Dee's that's somehow doing this and has his powers somehow have been able to expand. And I think there's more to this is kind of what's going on. But basically Insomnia is probing through everybody's minds trying to find the Nightmare Stone, and it spoiler alert, it does kind of go into how the Nightmare Stone was kind of formed, but even then it says the whole ritual didn't happen, so it faded away, and so it wasn't able to get to be as powerful as it was. But then the person that died making the Nightmare Stone, and I think it was at issue 2, looked a lot like Insomnia, who was also written as being affected by the Lazarus Reign, but then is saying that he's trying to get out of the Nightmare Zone in here when he was originally written as a person, but that he's been locked in the Nightmare Zone for a long time. And so it's kind of conflicting a little bit, whose powers are really doing all this? Is he just kind of like a parasite latched on to John Dee's power, or is it his own? Is he a human, or is he doing some of these other things? Because then again, it starts showing, again, like you brought up, you have who was the guy they brought back to life, Sandman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they brought him back to life. And so it has visions of him in his past that's there. And so that means that, he's been around for a while. And so I don't know. I don't know if this could be just a part of John Dee's, a different part of his personality is kind of manifesting itself. I feel like there's going to be some sort of big spoiler like this that's kind of popping up. I don't know what it is yet. But overall, I do like it. I think it has some really funny issues, where Joker ends up working in an office building. But I do think that it's kind of powerful because it shows that without Batman, Joker's just why do I have reason to go on? And, then, he's getting frustrated that there's imitations of Batman, which I'm assuming are Dick Grayson or other people, that contingency of popping back up, right? But, he never even wants to know who is underneath the mask. He just takes the body home, throws it in his closet every night, goes home and talks to it, ends up working his way up through Wayne Industries, and, all that kind of stuff. But so I think there's things like that. There's some things that show just how close some of these bonds are, where you have the Robins coming together in theirs and trying to make it to one another. Then you have some of the people that are staying alive and actually fighting the real night terrors that are manifestations of insomnia that are out there trying to hunt the living and trying to get kind of control what's going on in the living world. You have Santana and, all of them fighting them. So I think there's a lot of things in this that you can look at it and you'll see it being fought in different realities, some of the heroes and even villains, worst fears happening and how they're overcoming it. And so I really thought that was kind of cool. I liked the whatchamacallit, smaller Robin. How come I not remember? Damian Wayne's kind of tie-in. How he's still awake and fighting. And so I liked a lot of. I really actually I'm enjoying this a lot more than I thought I would before. But anyway, so I know Boomstam probably has a lot more to talk about than me. I think he's actually the only one of us that's read all of them. I haven't read like Poison Ivy yet and stuff. But Boomstam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, before Night Terror started, we also we talked about it before it started, and I know Hawkeye wasn't that excited about it, and still isn't, and that kind of got me like we just had a major event, and then pretty soon after that we're gonna have this event, the Night Terror's event. So all that talk didn't really get me excited about the event, but so I didn't think that I would like it as much as I do now that I'm reading it. I really do like it a lot. I like the complexities, and I'm really wondering where it is going. It's not all the times are good all the time, but most of them I do enjoy. Just like the one you said with the Joker. I mean, I thought it was just really funny. The way Batman died. He just slipped and fell in the rain off a rooftop, and bam, he's dead. That was really funny. I also really like the Poison Ivy and Harley tie-in that they had. And some tie-ins they contribute to the main story a little bit more than than others. Others are just like a short window into the nightmare of a certain character, which is it's fun and it's nice. But I get where you can just skip it more easily. The one that I really liked was the Zatanna tie-in with the Justice League Dark, where the Zatanna is also awake, by the way, and they are fighting the Night Terrors, and they're running through a maze to get the sleeping bodies of her teammates. That is Wonder Woman and who else? Well, it doesn't really matter. The teammates from Justice League Dark, they're still asleep, and they have to. She has to get them to a panic room, like a magical panic room, and they have to go through a maze and have all sorts of dangerous stuff that they have to go through. And then she summons Detective Chimp. Detective Chimp. Yeah, thanks. And then she summons like an ally to her side, and bam! All of a sudden, we get a Robot Man from the Doom Patrol that comes to her aid, and it's a team up you don't really expect to work, but it really does work in this book. The Robins, you said,
and she has to fight her dad too.
Yeah,
Zatara.
Her dad exactly, and then they switch teams so they can fight them more easily. I liked where John Constantine used this flaming sword that he has to just light a cigarette. That was kind of funny. I like the Robins and also the Nightwing book. The only thing that was a little bit, it was a little bit creepy, but also a little bit weird was, the Punchline book where you get the idea of that she was awake, but then when she kills Batgirl or Barbara Gordon Batgirl, you know that it's a dream, but somehow Barbara comes back like a cyborg or robot version of herself, a dead robot version of herself, and she's also somehow in the nightmare of Nightwing. So I think that's going to be like a main theme or something from the Bat book. So yeah, I'm enjoying the whole story as a whole. The main story and the tie-ins a lot more than I thought I would at the start. So I'm happy about that.
All right. So that sounds like Night Terrors has been better than anticipated. I think that you guys definitely hit on some interesting stuff that they're doing in some of the tie-ins. Robot Man and Zatanna sounds like a awesome little team up. just in the interest of time, guys, because we have been here for quite some time now, I want to give everybody the opportunity to go over any books that we've read in the last 3 weeks that we didn't cover here that you may absolutely love and just want to have a chance to talk about them. Do you guys have anything that you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, maybe what we all do is just say our favorite one that we didn't talk about.
Yeah, it works. That works. Everybody.
So Boom, you want to go first?
Do I really have to pick only one?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Dang it. Action Comics 1056. It was an epic battle between Cyborg Superman and the whole super family. So, I got to pick that one.
That is a solid pick. For me, I personally, I'm going to go with Doom Patrol. I've really enjoyed this entire run. Just getting to see all of these unique characters and having the Doom Patrol really explain the psyche of all of the team members in this issue with Jerry was a lot of fun. I think that they're doing a really good job of explaining these characters that not everybody's going to be familiar with, or they may have, passing familiarity with the Doom Patrol, either from the TV show or past comic runs that, maybe they tried out, said, this isn't for me. I think that this is probably one of the Doom Patrol's runs that's been the most, I would say, commercial friendly, even though it's been really weird. It hasn't been as weird as some of the stuff you've seen in Doom Patrol before. So I've really enjoyed the book, and I hope that it gets a continuation past the initial 6 issues here that were ordered. What about you? Did you what book did you want to go over?
I'm going to leave John Kent for Burger because I figured he was going to cover that one. I would have to say
you actually know me really well.
Was yeah, I was going to say the Green Arrow 3. It shows where Ollie is. They're transported to the time of the Legion of Superheroes, and he reunites with Connor. And they actually explain why he didn't remember him because of, getting written out of existence. And, you get to see a fun squabble between Arsenal and Peacemaker. And they actually have an accuracy test, which Arsenal wins. And Peacemaker stands down so that they could take on Vertigo. And then at the very end, you see the reveal why Ollie had been so weird when they could have just transported home. He sees an older version of himself, giving himself a message saying that the great disaster is going to happen unless you stay apart from your family, unless you don't separate the family, the great disaster will happen. So it was a nice cliffhanger and a reason to pick up issue 4.
Was it issue 3 or has issue 4 already came out that there was a big final page reveal?
This is issue 3.
Because I want to say issue 3 is the one where they show a certain someone coming back for the first time in comics in quite some time that kind of emphasizes that warning of Ollie. Yeah.
Oh, is 4 out? They didn't give it to me.
No, 4 isn't out yet.
No, you just skipped over the fact that Parallax Hal shows up at the end of number 3. That's why I was...
Yes, I forgot. Yeah, at the very...
You forgot Parallax coming back as Hal? That's quite a thing to forget, sir.
Yes, it is.
That's like forgetting Thanos on a list of top 5 Marvel characters you hate the least.
I know, right? Yeah.
So
and then
it's crazy.
Parallax Hal, but at the very end he says, "Don't shoot."
Yeah, so it's crazy because I was either going to do John Kent or Green Arrow. I would have preferred to do John Kent. So again, you nailed it. And again, I know everybody's heard me say it. The Injustice comics. It's one of my favorite storylines out there, and. I think one of the things that I like most about these comics with John Kent in them is one, it inserts it at a different point in that timeline. So now it's kind of like it's rewriting what really happened. And so I think that's cool. So there is different possibilities of what could have happened in this. And And so, in this last issue, the prior one, right? Like we saw, at the end, Damien kind of bugs John Kent. John Kent ends up, leading him to the first place that he went to. His boyfriend, from the main universe, but he exists in the Injustice universe as well. So, that led to, some probably interrogation from Damien knowing him, right? And then knowing how he usually approaches situations probably was not a very good situation to be in. But then it in this last issue, he's meeting with, Batman and Harley and Catwoman, and, they're in one of their hideouts. And, obviously the regime can't find them, but now they're able to because of, John being bugged. So, Superman in this says, don't do anything. Wait till John leaves, then we're going to move. They get there. And, if you read Injustice, that, they have these pills that kind of mimic, or make them, not just, I know superheroes in name, but actual superheroes where they have powers and all of those great things. And so it kind of puts them on par and able to have Batman fight Superman for a short period of time, like fist to fist. And, but they're able to sneak up on them and actually able to go in there and capture them. And then it's like, hey, essentially, Wonder Woman and, Yellow Lantern, Hal Jordan, Cyborg, like all these guys show up, capture them. And they're, at the end, Superman, the dictator Superman's like, we're going to kill them, publicly. Like these guys are going to be executed. And so it'll be, and then, John, it kind of goes where he's, in the Fortress of Solitude, he's interacting with Mom and Pa Kent, which I'm sure was a big thing for him, right? Because he didn't really get to interact with them a lot in the main universe. But then it has like a moment of, of Lois talking to him, him having the crystals is able to put there and have her kind of saying, hey, I can't imagine what you're going through. Hopefully, you're able to go out there and make a difference and all that stuff. And so anyways, I love the direction this is going. If you haven't read Injustice and you're listening, I encourage you to do it. I've never played the game, but I absolutely love the storyline. But again, I do think one positive part of this is that since it's catching it in a different part of the timeline and it's doing a good job of showing flashbacks of how they got to where they are, that it actually you could start reading John Kent and kind of get the gist of what's going on. And so really big fan of what they're doing in the John Kent series right now.
One thing I really liked about this issue is John meeting Harley. And Harley just kind of apologizing for, killing him in that universe. And John's just like, are you coming to me for absolution? Yeah, just
yeah.
I'm not going to forgive you for killing an alternate universe of myself, but just do better.
Yeah, that was cool. I just wanted to do a shameless plug for the blog that I'm writing nowadays for DCL Oracle. So if you guys wanted to,
oh yeah, absolutely,
learn about DC characters from the game, we learn more about their backstory. There are a few writers, myself included, and we try to write stories about characters from DC Legends, right? To get more like a comic book background for the characters that we all love to read about and play with. So go check it out if you like.
It's like a readable version of the Burger Shack, guys.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, Burger, it's been a while.
It has, yeah. I think a lot of it, hate out there, taking the world by storm, vacationing, has his new lady friend, and so yeah, we definitely need to all try to come together and do this. Last month, I just did it on my own, but it's not as much fun just having me sit in my office talking to myself. But yeah, no, I agree. I think we all do need to try to jump in, and this month might be a good one, right? We have Super Doom, and and finally
Just
having Ted Cord.
The one tune that makes me happy. Yeah.
Just invite me if you're ever alone for a recording, Burger. I'm happy to join you for a session.
Perfect. Obviously, guys, as always, we love doing this. We love interacting with you guys just as much. So if you're listening and you want to jump on the show, if you want to be a part, you want to share, ask us questions, we for sure will answer them on the show. So maybe we could start having like a mailbox thing going on, but, just shoot over, find us on Discord, shoot over questions you have, and we'll for sure answer those on the show as well, do a little mailbox. But, thank you for listening to, the things that we've grown up loving, that, the characters, the storylines, and all of those things that, probably defined most of our childhoods and obviously continues to define us in adulthood. But thanks for everything. Thanks for listening. And we can't thank you guys enough for stopping by and hanging out with us.